Now, here is a sponsor close to my heart and pocketbook. Global Television has been our platinum media partner for all 15 years of the Courage to Come Back Awards, and I'm very proud of that. Along with the province newspaper, News 1130, Fairchild Media, and TV Week magazine, they ensure that the message of the Courage to Come Back Awards is heard in every corner of this great province. To present our first award, please welcome the Vice President for Global Television National News, my favorite boss, because I have many favorite bosses, Kenton Boston.
Wow. Is that $50 step this year or 20 for saying that? I brought my sunglasses. If you remember last year, the brilliant mountain was out there with the sunshine, but we have the curtain this year, so we can focus on what's important, and that's these awards. Global Television is very honored. We're very proud of the relationship and all the work that's done for this great program. In life, we all are tossed a lot of problems sometimes, and how we respond and how we regroup is really the true measure of who we are as individuals. So our first award tonight recognizes that person who, in spite of their addiction to drugs or alcohol, has managed to stay in recovery and go on to make a significant contribution to our society.
She knew immediately she liked the feeling of getting high. He was an older man, and he introduced her to cocaine, then sex. Home life was strict, her relationship with her mother tense, dysfunctional. She would often leave home staying at friends' houses. She loved freedom, loved alcohol and the exhilaration of cocaine. She wore her low esteem like a uniform, sleeping with too many men as she tried to change the hurt inside. And then she was pregnant and 20 years old. Her name is Thea Cunningham. Thea gave birth to a beautiful baby girl she named Jessie. She tried to take control of her life, but it wasn't long before Thea and her daughter were on their own. Thea attended community college and tried to make a life for herself and her daughter, but the path was a steep slope and slick with cocaine. As her dependency worsened, she slipped further and further into the black hole of addiction. She wanted to make a better life for her daughter, but her need to use was greater. Needing cash, she chose to prostitute herself as an escort. In countless hotel rooms, she tried to find validation in the beds of faceless strangers, leaving with only their cash and disdain. Whatever self-esteem she once had was gone. By 28, drugs had ravaged her beauty, and Thea was working the street corners of Vancouver downtown East Side, because now Thea was addicted to crack cocaine. As fast as she made the money, she spent it on drugs. No longer able to cope, Thea surrendered her daughter to her daughter's father, but moved to Nanaimo to be near them. The rest of her family she cut out of her life. But the insatiable need for drugs led her to Victoria. She began to use heroin as she turned tricks to feed her habit. Although she had tried rehab over the years, nothing had worked. Her sisters feared she would not live to see her 40th birthday. She had nothing she could call her own, least of all her body, least of all her mind. Both were possessed by the force of drugs so powerful that Thea knew she could never change. Yet change often begins with the simplest action. Like a huge door swinging on a tiny ball bearing, change usually begins with a tiny movement. It was Christmas. 5'10", Thea weighed 120 pounds. She was using water from puddles to mix her heroin, not even bothering to cook it before shooting it into her veins. Two women approached her. "Merry Christmas," they said, and offered her a small bag of Christmas treats. They were from Peers Victoria, an outreach society dedicated to helping sex workers stay safe, and, if they want, helping them to leave this dangerous work. For Thea, this small act touched her deeply. Like a tiny ember, it softly glowed, growing in intensity until 3 years later, she found the courage to walk into the Piers office to ask for help. Her first step toward a life she couldn't even imagine. Piers gave her clothing and toiletries so she could clean herself up. Thea went into rehab, and little by little she began to rebuild her life. Clean and sober, she found a place to live. A simple shed with a mattress on the floor and a garbage can for a toilet. But it was warm, and it was hers. She lived there for 10 months while she attended a program through Piers that helps sex workers transition to mainstream employment. She began to volunteer with Piers, and after being clean for 1 full year, Piers offered her a full-time job. For 2.5 years, she was the outreach coordinator for Piers. When funding was cut, she was hired by the University of Victoria as the coordinator for the Women's Advisory Council for the Her Way Home program. She had a second job at night, handing out harm reduction supplies to people with HIV/AIDS and Hep C. Although she enjoyed working at UVic, her heart was with the girls on the streets. So as soon as it was possible, she returned to Piers, where she currently works as the night outreach coordinator. There isn't a night that goes by where Thea isn't still reaching out to those walking the path she once walked, demonstrating that change is possible, that hopeful is more powerful than hopeless, that every person bound by the prison that is despair carries the key to freedom. The key Thea found and unlocked with her incredible courage to come back.
2013 Courage. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2013 Courage to Come Back Award recipient for addiction, Thea Cunningham.
Clearly, I'm new at this. Thank you, everyone. This is amazing. I want to thank Lauren Siegel, Coast Mental Health, sponsors, panelists, and everybody that has been a part of this incredible experience. All of you were so nice and supportive and wonderful to myself, my family, and my co-workers. I really appreciate all of your hard work putting on the Courage to Come Back Awards. To me, this award means a life change. Not only have I been able to step back, look around, and be proud of myself, I now have closure. I can finally put my past behind me and move on to the next chapter of my life. And I have to tell you all that it feels amazing to finally be able to do that. Thank you. Thank you. I want to thank all outreach workers, housing support workers, addictions counselors, street nurses, doctors, and staff at safe injection sites. The work you do is so incredibly important. Every day you help to make someone's life a little more livable, even if just for a moment. To the women, men, and teens that go into detox centers and treatment centers to tell your stories of recovery, please continue to do so. Someone is listening. Thank you.